couple old men sitting around on the couch talking through some of life's mysteries and trying to give some wisdom to the younger generation. Irvin, Tony, Jamie, wisdom, here we go.
I don't know how I got thrown in here. Yeah, at 30 years old, you know.
Us old two guys, we keep trying to bring in one of the 30-year-olds to help create old man conversations that at least balance us out a little bit.
That's good. I mean,
plus today the conversation is going to be healthy because you are such a great husband that my son is getting married in, as of the day of this podcast, like less than a week from now. And whenever this drops, maybe this weekend. But anyways, my son's getting married, and I thought, you know what we should do? Let's do a podcast for these young boys to teach them how they should treat their wives. Let's talk about how you treat your wife or how you were taught to treat your wife. Go ahead. You are great with Betty. Like watching you y'all's relationship, it's inspiring. So what were you taught? How were you taught to treat her?
So I attribute this to my father. He is the kind of man that opened the door for my mom. Every single place they went to, no matter rain or shine. Yep. That's how he was. So he always gave her place in his life and then also in our life. So me seeing that, there was very few conversations where he had with me of, you know, this is the kind of man you should be. Yeah. He's the kind where the cliche phrase of lead by example, you know, I saw it in him. So for me, the way I am with Betty is I have taken from him what I saw that I liked, and then I just kind of try to up it a little bit more.
You obviously great with Kimberly. What did Dad teach you?
You know, it's tough because my dad has been through. He's had 2 wives to pass away, so he's on his 3rd marriage, and just walking through all those marriages with him. You know, I've seen a lot of different situations, I guess, but number one, just my dad adores his I hate to say wives because it sounds like he's just went through a lot, but
no, totally good.
But with my mom, and then
did you see your dad adoring your mom
all the time?
Yeah,
he has never called her by her name. Yeah, it's always my treasure, love, queen, something. Nice. Never her name.
Yeah,
nice. Did you with Kimberly? I mean, it's always ooey gooey, lovey dovey stuff.
Yeah, listen, PDA is on full display.
It's a weird balance. PDA is a weird balance, you know, because what I honestly, I was being loving with Maddie, and one of the internet trolls, posted something to me. Obviously, you have to delete it. You know, it feels like every time you post something, you got to delete all the trolls that say mean things. But one of the things they were talking about is PDA with Maddie, me giving PDA with Maddie, you know, kissing her, hugging her, you know, smacking her butt, whatever it is, that the person was warning me that as I do that, it was tempting other guys in either wishing they were doing that or that I don't know, it was a unique concept. And so I totally understand, I totally get it, but guys are weird like that anyways. But I think I want my kids to be grossed out at the way I treat Maddie and go, oh, gross, Mom, Dad, stop kissing. You know, that's what they've done their whole life. I want everybody to know that's my queen, man. That's my girl.
Yeah, I think that concept is, I mean, I get it, but I think it's a little twisted. Yeah, if I'm, and of course, we're not trying to be gross or inappropriate, but I'm just showing her love. I'm showing her affection, you know, anytime she's around. When she was leaving one of our meetings today, she went around the table, I kissed her on the forehead, and, you know, I just love her to death. But yeah, that idea of other people seeing that and guys being tempted, my hope is, yes, that they're tempted to have that. Not her, but that. I want people to see what's possible. And yeah, my kids think it's gross, and I don't care. Same thing. I want my kids to one day have that same relationship. If I could pass down anything from myself to my kids, number one, it would be a relationship with Jesus Christ. But secondly, it would be, I hope they have a marriage like me and Kimberly have.
Yeah. Kent does. She found your twin and married Eric.
Yeah.
She decided, you know what, I love my dad so much and I'm just going to find somebody just like him. That sometimes they actually think that he's your son and your son married this girl.
Yeah, you know.
Does that happen often? Because somebody told me the same thing. He's like, "You're just like your father-in-law," and Betty and like, "You're just like my dad, just like my dad," you know.
Well, I think typically you're either going to look for exactly what you have or the complete opposite. I think you love your dad so much or your mom so much that you're going to look for someone that's just like them, or you're going to look for somebody that's complete opposite of them because you had such a disdain for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love my mom, but there's things about Maddie that are just like my mom, you know, and she won't like that I said that on here, and she'll be like, I'm not like, you know, she doesn't like being called her mom, my mom, you know, she doesn't see herself through those eyes, but there's things just like her, and, you know, and there's things about me that are just like her dad. You know, I'm very much, you know, her dad will cry at a drop of a hat, and, you know, that's part of my life as well, you know. So Eli's coming up. What are you teaching him now at 7 years old, 6 years old? What are you teaching him now about how to treat women?
Mainly the respect, you know, to her as my wife first, and then his mom second.
Yeah, I used to do the same thing with my kids.
Yeah.
When they would say something to Maddie, I'd say, you're not going to talk to my wife like that. Mm-hmm. That's my mama. I don't care. You're not going to talk to my wife like that. That's my wife.
I've told Eli literally, you know, and this is going to sound mean, but I said she was my wife before she was your mom. Yep. You know, so I have to defend her, you know, from that.
And I tell people, listen, ladies specifically, but I tell parents all the time, in 18 years, your kids are gone. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't fight for a healthy marriage, if all you became were parents during those 18 years, you're going to have a miserable marriage when they're gone.
Yeah. So with all the respect, you know, everything else kind of comes in where we try to treat her, you know, like she is the only lady of the house, you know. Yeah. So she is my queen. That's how I have her on my phone. Whenever I, you know, say whatever, it is my queen. So she's like, is she my queen too? Like, no, she's not your queen. She's my queen. You know, she's your mom. You could come up with something else. But the point is, we try to serve her in different aspects, you know, as far as we won't start eating until she's at the table with us.
Okay.
My dad was like that, you know. Doesn't matter what we cooked, what my mom cooked, if she had to go in and heat up tortillas, we all had to wait until my mom was at the dinner table before we started eating. So similar things with Eli. I'm like, we're not gonna eat until mom's here.
You do stuff like that with the boys in Kimberly? What are you teaching them? Because here I am now. My son's getting married in a week. You know, so there's no more teaching him. You know, they'll be sharpening through the process, but ultimately, he is who he is.
Some similar things. A lot of times I'm cooking, so I'll be the last one to the table. But I think with Kimberly, I have always told them same things. Like, listen, I will protect my wife. I will protect your mom, even if it's protecting her against you, and if it's protecting her against your sharp words or things like that. And so we've always had that dialogue of she's my wife, she's your mom, but she's my wife, and you're not going to speak to her disrespectfully. Stuff like that, and I've told them both the boys, that listen, I hope and I pray that you find a wife as good as your mom. And I've just always praised her in front of them. Yep. You know, like, hey man, she's out there working when she was doing the cake pop business. Like she's out there slaving away at her job to better you.
For sure.
And you know, just trying to breed respect.
What do you think about I'm just going to rip some conversation open, okay? What do you think about husbands or dads out there? What would you say to the dad out there that doesn't help with the kids?
The kids? You know, for me, I don't know. I come from a weird perspective because you have in the Hispanic culture, the mom, the guy's the one you go out and provide, so he doesn't wake up to help a lot with the home situation, you know. Again, for me, I see it as he is my kid as well. Mm-hmm. You know, I have always practiced that either she's making breakfast for him and I'm getting him ready for school.
Yeah.
Whenever I was able to, we would take him together to school. I would take him to school, however it would work. But to me, that is your role. This is her role.
So what do you say
you know?
to let's say someone in your life, Gavin gets married, has kids. You love Gavin, he's a good dude. You know, you see him, the wife is just doing everything, and Gavin's like, they're both working full-time jobs, the wife's doing everything, she's got the kids. What are you saying to Gavin? You're pulling him in your office. What are you saying to Gavin?
I tell him, hey man, this is your home. This is your family, you know. I'm speaking plural. It's not her, you know,
Right.
her stuff, her people, her things. So honestly, if you want to be part of the family in all the aspects, those are the simple things where you show your wife that you are 100% committed. You know, this isn't a 50-50 kind of thing, 60-40. You know, you are 100% committed to where nothing is above you,
Yeah.
you know, and you show her that
That's tough,
anything
man.
can do.
Kids these days, they don't want to be committed to that. They don't want to be committed to the whole family. They find themselves very committed to certain things that they enjoy, whatever it is, video games or, you know, whatever, but struggle being committed to the household and all the things of the household. And it's a unique situation a lot of times with younger families, as their husbands are not as engaged as they should be.
It's tough. I'll put an example that I had to rewalk this year. Eli's 7 years old. You know, some people think he'd be able to take care of himself out in the playground. You know,
Yeah.
I don't follow that mindset. So I joined the church softball league this year, and it was me being out in a competitive sport again, something that I always enjoyed, having a good time. There was a time where Betty was not feeling well, and I had to make the choice whether I was going to go play softball
Absolutely.
and leave Eli with her at home. She said go. You know, she did all the wife things.
Yeah.
You go, don't worry about it, I'll handle it. But in me is like, I know she needs me. I know Eli's going to need me. He's not going to be able to have the same attention that she's able to provide when she's 100%. So as much as I wanted to go play softball, as much as they, you know, may have needed me to fill up the roster, I had to make that choice and say, hey, I'm turning back around. I can't make it tonight. You know, and it's hard because you feel bad because as a man, you want to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
But again, it's your family.
You coming from a strength, you know, you talked about the culture that you're from, where that man is the strong voice, the strong opinion, and typically, you know, just doing some marriage counseling with Vanessa and Elio, where typically the woman is very supportive of the man's role, and there's nowhere, and honestly, in the American culture, there's a lot of headbutting and, you know, almost some dominance that the woman tries to put on the man, and partly the man's fault because we've acted like idiots for so long that we haven't showed the respect to the lady that it's really easy for your mom to have the door open for her everywhere and to be called my queen all the time, for that same woman to then turn around and look at your dad and say, what do you need? How can I help you? How can I serve you? Right? It's that give and take that's beautiful.
Exactly.
That we don't do well and definitely don't portray well. You know, my son's a week away from getting married, and as he's walking down that pathway, I think about, you know, even some of the conversations that I watch him and Reagan have, and it, you know, makes me giggle because I see, you know, a lot of mine and Maddie's conversations where he's picking and poking, but he's also very loving and very supportive and very you know, helpful in certain things. And so I see a lot of good characteristics, and I'm thankful for that. But I also know that you know, there were probably things that he learned via osmosis, via watching, via, you know, me not really telling him what I'm doing, but just, hey, I'm watching Dad operate, and so, you know, it's maybe hopefully just rubbed off on him, you know?
Yeah.
I think for me, in that scenario of a man not pitching in and helping with the children, this is probably unfair because I know everybody has their own situations, but at face value, I would tend to question his devotion to either the children or the wife. Like why do you not want to help with the children? And secondly, if you are devoted to your wife, why are you going to sit back and watch her struggle and just not want to pitch in? I love when I can help Kimberly, when I can. If she's doing something and I'm sitting on the couch, it doesn't matter if I've done 18 things before that and she was asleep taking a nap. If I'm sitting on the couch and she's doing something, I feel like, oh man, I hate to see her doing that and me sitting on the couch. So to me, it's just hard to watch that.
Yeah, agree. And honestly, kids are the tough one because it's the thing that kind of rocks the boat. But it's just not. It's not just kids. Like finances are tough.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to spend finances. We talk about a lot of times with you and Kimberly, y'all's huge fight over a shirt she bought for her birthday. You know, mine and Maddie's biggest fight ever was over finances. You and Betty ever fought over finances?
I'm sure we have.
Yeah, so it's not just kids, it's finances, it's quality time or how to spend your time is always attention. Kimberly always wanting to be in everything, and sometimes you're like, hey, come home, you don't have to go there and do all the things. I'm a lot like Kimberly. Let's go, and Maddie's like, hey, come home. Let's just sit. Let's just relax. So you have a lot of those opportunities for frustrations inside of the family. And I think kind of going back to your point, what I would say is we got to find a way to make home life the top priority. Now, obviously, church, following after Christ, those things are I say the church. I don't mean like serving in the church. I mean like the kingdom of God, the top priority. But then apart from that, your family has to be your top priority. Like you have to choose them over yourself even. And I think that's where guys these days maybe fall short. They choose their wife over a lot of things, but do we ever get to the place to where we choose her over ourselves? To where we put her needs and her desires and her wants, the family's needs, the family's desires, the family's wants over our own needs and our own desires and our own wants? And I would say, even like with your softball story, like to me, that is the heart of a good father, the heart of a good husband, a servant of God. This is the decision I should make because it's the right decision. Although it's not the decision I want to go out there and play softball, it's the right decision for my family. And I think somewhere along the line, guys fall short from getting to that place.
Yeah. And the other half of the equation right there is when you're taking, and I must say making those sacrifices, because it's something you want to do, but also something that I've had to progress and learn is you also can't blame her for the stuff that you're not gonna do.
Absolutely, 100%.
You said if I would have been like, hey man, I can't go. She's not feeling well again. I don't know when I'm gonna catch a break and have a good week with her health.
For sure.
You should have just left to softball rather than belittle her. In whatever sense you were gonna do it. Make sure that those things that you are doing, they're being genuine out of your understanding of you being a husband first, father, and then whatever else you're filling in, and make sure that you don't throw her in a bad
You got to protect her.
Oh, yeah. And that's something that it's been a struggle for me for a long time, and it's up until we had a conversation where she looked me in the eye and she told me that directly. It's like, I need you to be my protector. She was always kind of a dominant in the, I have to get it done. I've had to be relied upon. I want somebody to take care of me now, so whenever that conversation was had, and it made me feel like I'm not doing my part as a protector. Not that I won't go and, guard her from some kind of, thing that will happen to her, but it's in the little sense of, hey, make sure that decisions we make, they appear it's our decision, not my decision, that I'm hindering you from.
Yeah, I agree. I think all husbands, you got to protect your family. You can't. Sorry guys, can't hang out the night. The old ball and chains got me at the house tonight, and you're like, man, what a sour conversation that turns out to be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's nobody I would rather hang out with than her. So, I mean, why am I apologizing for having to hang out with her or getting to hang out with her?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
When she looks at you and says, you say, "What do you want to eat for dinner tonight?" She says, "I don't care." What do you say?
I say, yeah, you do care. I say, yeah, you do care.
What do you? Kimberly's pretty decisive. Does she?
No.
Does she? I don't care.
A lot.
A lot. And what do you say?
Yeah. I say, well, I don't care either. And then,
I could totally see. Let me just say, I can totally see y'all having a standoff here.
No, really. We have. But
like, I don't care. I don't care. Well, fine. I'll eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'll go to bed hungry or whatever. I can totally see y'all.
Nothing like that.
Not in a bad way. Just both of y'all. Just like, I don't care.
Yeah, we're both. None of us are just like, oh, gotta have this. Unless we do. There's days where she's like, I really want this. But if it's a back and forth, neither of us want, then I will normally just say, okay, cool. Here's 3 choices. Pick which one you want. So then she normally does. So
yeah, typically I am. Here's 3 choices, and if you don't like any of those, then what are other choices? And what can we comb through a lot of stuff trying to find the right thing.
Yeah, Maddie's the I don't know person.
She is very indecisive.
You have to give them options. I've realized it works for me.
Yeah.
They don't want to say it, so you throw out stuff that they're not going to like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mine that Betty won't like. And she said, no. Like, okay, it's like, well, you didn't like any of the ones I said. It's like, what were you thinking? And then after she said no, and I validated her, having an option, she's like, well, how about, this? And I was, sure. Because she hates picking. I don't really like picking, so works for us.
Yeah.
That's funny. What's your least favorite chore around the house?
Least favorite chore? For sure, doing the bathroom.
What's your least favorite chore?
I hate weed eating. I'll mow the grass all day long, but I hate weed eating.
Nah.
I think my least favorite chore is turning into dishes.
Well, we learned during marriage class, we had one of those where what's something that you can do with that whole thing. So hers is putting dishes away is a big no-no.
Yeah.
So she doesn't reach anyway. So I'll do them. So she's like, well, you put them away and I'll wash them.
Nice.
So we learned that there, and that has been our standard now. You put them away, I wash them, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the bathroom, I say that because we have tile in the shower, so the way that she's accustomed to, scrubbing and all that, it's just a whole lot of, So a lot of times it's a whole rock, paper, scissors kind of shoot of who's doing the bathroom.
For that one, you're like, oh, we got to do bathroom. Rock, paper, scissors. Yeah. How do you do it whenever you, because obviously you have the boys are almost old enough to weed eat, or do they weed eat?
The last 2 years they've tried. They're in training.
In training, yeah.
They're not great.
Yeah.
But
so what do you do with weed eating? You just do it? You just suck it up and do it?
Either that or I have them do it and I just accept the way they did it. But yeah, Kimberly doesn't mind weed eating. And so a lot of times she'll say, I'll do it. I can't watch her weed eat.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's like, nah, I'm here. The boys one will get it. But Kimberly does get in her head sometimes, like whenever she's ready for something to be done, it's like a rampage of like either you jump in and help her do it,
or she's doing it,
or she's doing it like, oh, the flower beds. I got to do the flower beds. Got to redo all the flowers and whatnot, and she'll be down there picking weeds and all this stuff. And you either watch her or you help her. You're not stopping her or saying, hey, let's do this. Wait and do this later.
Are there things that you used to do whenever you were younger that you can't do anymore?
Like what? Like physically?
Yeah, or emotionally, or spiritually, or financially. I don't know. Whatever path you want to go. There's things that you used to do early on in marriage that you can't do anymore.
It's a good question.
That is a good question.
Give us an example.
I can't see as good as I used to.
Like for me, we used to be able to kids come along, obviously changes your hangout opportunities, your travel opportunities, things of that nature.
Yeah.
As we get older, like right now, we're talking about decoration for Christmas. Well, when Caleb gets married in a week, our Christmas decorations are upstairs. Where are we putting them this year? Because I'm 45, climbing up and down and throwing them things down. I mean, like, not that we're at that age yet, but in my head, I'm like, man, like her dad, we have to go over there and help him get the stuff up and down the stairs for Christmas. Like in my head, I'm thinking through things of that nature, things that we used to do that now, maybe not right now, but eventually you're going to get to the place to where you can't do those things anymore.
I've thought about that a lot. Just as age progresses, and I was never a big exerciser in my 20s and 30s. I was never super athletic or anything. But once I hit about 40, it hit me like, if you don't start taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take the Christmas stuff down. You're not going to be able to do this and that. And so that's what's propelled me the last 5 years to take care of my body a little more. And it's still falling apart at times, but
the blessing and curse of always kind of being, I don't feel healthy, but I've always kind of been healthy,
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go to the doctor, they're like, oh, your numbers are perfect. I got a little gut on me, but overall I'm pretty healthy. I could run to the mailbox if I need to.
Yeah.
I could pick up a box, those sorts of things. The blessing and curse of that is you never maybe feel the pressure of, man, you better get healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because sometimes, man, that you better get healthy kicks you in the tail and gets you to a place to where it actually helps you last, long term, last into your 90s or wherever it may be.
I think one good health scare for a lot of people will kind of push them. Now, will it stay, and will they keep, taking care of themselves? That depends. I mean, I know when I fell last year on the ice and hurt my hip, and it bothered me for like 9 months. And there was one point where it got bad enough that it hit me emotionally. I was like, I can't run right now, and if I have to go have surgery or something, I may never run again in my life. I may never be able to chase my kids in my life. And that hit me, and thank Lord it was just bursitis. It gave me a shot, and now I'm running again. Chased the kids around the house 2 days ago. But definitely things like that, because no matter how much exercise, age always wins.
10 years ago, whenever I was working out with BJ Munn, probably 10 years ago, I don't know, something like that, I used to say things like, I'm 35. I'm not trying to get a six-pack. I'm not trying to, certain things that he would say, he'd kind of push you towards. And I'm like, man, I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah.
But what I am trying to do is walk my daughters down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
And so you wanted to stay healthy enough to get to that place. Now it's kind of like, okay, what am I trying to, now we're at that season, where my son is getting married. Like, what's the next thing that you're pushing towards? I'm pushing towards 70 whenever I retire, that I don't want to be, on 9 medications and, whatever it may be, So I think sometimes my grandfather ate terrible. Mm-hmm. Healthy as a horse, but ate terrible. Besides the smoking habit that killed him, but ate terrible, fried food all the time, white rice all the time, light bread with every meal. I mean, he ate terrible, but he worked his butt off all day long in the fields, and and so your body's a unique thing, man. He never drank bottled water. He drank coffee constantly all day long.
I have a friend that would say drinking water would oxidate him, so so he only stuck to Coke.
Yeah, I mean, and so you see things like that, and you're like, I just want to make sure that I'm active, that I'm, that I'm, whatever I'm doing, I want to be sustainable. I don't want to get to the place to where I just, have to take a break when I'm walking around. Disney, or stop preaching to catch my breath because I'm exhausted.
I mean, minister, we've seen those pastors that you literally think he's going to have a heart attack before he even finishes preaching, and that's how many ministries were cut short because of bad habits in their life.
Yep, so true.
One of the things that kind of pushed me back when I was first, getting into trying to be a little healthier was one YouTube guy said, he's like, listen, you can either have incremental pain that you induce upon yourself every day, just a little bit, or in 20 years or 10 years, you're going to be in pain every day.
Wow.
Walking to the refrigerator. So
Yikes.
just do it on purpose and have a reason.
Do you think, speaking of marriage, do you think because I tell Betty, I said, man, I'm a little chubby. She's like, no, you're not, because we do the same for them, you know. Do you think this affects your relationship in your marriage, your health, you know, your physical health? I know
It has to,
shouldn't.
right?
I think so. I mean, like, I like that. She did not meet me like this. She made me like this because of all her food, you know. But I was like, at points, you're like, this has to, you know, have some type of influence in their life, you know.
It has to. I know from the woman's perspective, you hear all the time, you read the stats all the time, where when they're not comfortable with their body, how it affects every part of the marriage. But I would say, yeah, for us as well. I mean, when Maddie and I got married, I was 150 pounds.
I don't know how much I weighed, but I was definitely slimmer.
I was a little boy when we got married.
Now, all her family, they'll joke around and be like, you did that to him to make sure that nobody else looked his way, you know? You locked him in.
Yeah, I think it has to. It has to affect them, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they would ever say that out loud, but I think it has to.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that it's funny. Like, they'll never say it, but then when you have a change, they'll say the opposite. They'll be like, "Oh, you look
so
good. You look
yeah.
this. You look that." And so you're like, "Oh, what was the opposite? What was that?" You know.
Yeah.
But not only that, but just it affects them in what you're able to do physically. And I mean, like I said, you've always been a healthy, active. But then if all that shifted one day in 10 years to where you couldn't do the things with her that she wants to do, I mean, that affects them. That affects their joy and their happiness. If we're not able to go out to eat because, you know, I'm just unable to even go anywhere. If we're unable, you know, Kimberly, she loves to go on a vacation. She loves a trip. If I'm unable to go
Where's
on a
she
trip
going this week?
This week? No, she's got a Dickens Christmas show this week. She's
gotcha.
working. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like we went to Idaho recently and we did this hike, and it was the most brutal hike I've ever been on in my life. And Kimberly, she has the most endurance when it comes to physical stuff. She was on that hike and she's just rolling, and man, it was tough. And I know that if I'm not in at least adequate shape, then things like that, because she would never do it without me.
Yeah.
She would say, "Oh, no, we're good. We'll stay. I'll stay with you." And I don't want to ever cut her short.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. Dudes watching this, I'll give you some old man wisdom. If you don't keep your body in some shape,
Yeah.
it's got. I don't know how. We're not women, so we can't give you the exact explanation of this, but it has to affect your marriage in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
I have, as a friend would say, I have one pack. All in one area. Mine just jumbled up.
I love it.
No, but that's true. That's true, you know. I used to go to this gym. I don't even know if I could say this in the video, but I used to go to a gym called ISI down the road from here. And there's a video of me somewhere out there on their page, you know, of them explaining why. Because of my whole hand situation, they're all like, "Oh, it's so awesome that you came out. You know, you want to better yourself, and why do you want to do it?" And I'm out there talking, and you forget about the reasons why you want to do the things you want to do, you know. And your wife should be one of those priorities of why you want to live a long life, you know.
Yeah, because honestly, all of us have to look at our wives and not only keep ourselves healthy, but now start looking at them, try to make decisions for them to keep them healthy, and then also our kids, and then now we're getting into the place of conversation of grandkids.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard for me to be eating, you know, a Little Debbie and then tell Caleb, "Hey, stop eating that Little Debbie."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, Kimberly has wrestled with weight for so long and throughout our marriage, and that was always something that came back to me of I have sabotaged her before.
Yep.
You know, when I wasn't eating healthy, when I wasn't doing good, when I got a sweet tooth. You know, for me, it's not the fried food. Yeah, I do dig on some fried food sometimes, but man, I can't sit here and encourage her. Yeah, you can do this. You can do this. As I'm sitting there stuffing my face with a Christmas tree cake.
Man, it's true.
You know, it's hard. I know that I have sabotaged her in the past, and I regret that.
Yeah, I know that I have sabotaged myself in the past by getting some Reese cups.
Yeah. And for Kimberly, when she started her health journey and has done so well with it, it has pushed me. And she's always looking at me like, oh, you're whatever. You don't. And I'm like, no, I do. I need that encouragement. I need you to stay on track, and you need me to stay on track. And if we do it together, then we're so much better together doing it and pushing with the same goal in mind of us being healthy. But then whenever one of us falls off the track, it's so much easier for the other to fall off the track. So
ironic that this is where you kind of land on the conversation, because there's so many marriage tips out there that we could have pounced on to have conversations about, and the thing that we land on is, and it's old men, it's where we are. The thing we land on is, hey, like, keep your body healthy.
Yeah.
We've heard the video, the reel going around of, if you knew you only got one car.
Yeah.
You have one car your whole life.
Yep.
This is it. This is the only car you're getting. You're not trading it in. This is it.
Yeah.
Would you take care of that car? Absolutely. Yep. You get one body.
Yeah.
This is it. This is all you get. Yeah, you can get an oil change every now and then. Yeah, you can change tires, things of that nature. But this is your only car.
Yeah. What kind of oil would you put in?
The best of the best.
Yeah. You would. Very true. Well, first time I heard that, it hit me. I was like, daggone, that's wisdom.
You see, but I'm in a predicament here.
Okay.
And I know she's going to watch.
Uh-oh.
And I know what her answer is going to be like, don't worry, baby, I got you. I will help you. But this to be true. I'm in a predicament because one of her passions is baking.
Yeah. Yes.
So what am I supposed to do whenever she bakes something? I'm like, no, I do not want to try it. Or I only want to try a little portion. And then she'd make her feel like, oh, you didn't like it.
Well, here's what you do. Here's what you do. You bring it here to the staff.
If I remember.
Leave it in your office for a few days. Forget all about it. And then say, oh, no, guys, I forgot I got this thing in my office that was supposed to be in the fridge for the last 3 days that I forgot to tell y'all about.
It almost happened again. You got to watch a couple episodes back.
Kimberly, for 5 years, was a professional baker.
Yeah.
Who baked nothing but sweets. And I've already said, I have a sweet tooth. And so for a long while, the way I handled that was I ate so much of the ones that she made that I got sick of them, and then I didn't want them no more. So it's that's such bad advice, but that's how I handled it. I didn't even want cake pops.
Sick of it.
I didn't even want cake pops for a while. But yeah,
I can't do that.
Yeah, I feel your pain because every week it's just cake pops after cake pops after cake pops.
An interesting place to land. Guys out there, some dad advice from us, man. In our mid-40s, early 30s, mid-40s, take some advice from some old men here. Take care of your body.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for hanging out with me.
Appreciate y'all.